Anzac Day. It's one of the most important national occasions for both Australia and New Zealand, where we remember the fallen soldiers who fought in Gallipoli in 1915 and all of the other wars. This day means something different to every single one of us, young and old, and we all commemorate Anzac Day differently. Here we are at the Ettamogah Hotel today to see it for ourselves.
Usually I go to a dawn service first thing in the morning, and I just feel it's not much, it's a little give back, I guess. And my dad used to love going, so...
I come from Nowra, New South Wales, and we've got, I've been to Creswell. That's a really good dawn service. We've got Greenville Point dawn service, that's really good.
My first time at Ettamogah because I've just moved to Queensland. But normally I'm at a dawn service over at Windsor RSL or Ingleburn RSL, depending on where I am.
I've stood at the steps of the Shrine of Remembrance and at war memorials and spoken to those soldiers, even though I didn't know their names, and I've said thank you to them.
My family get together and we appreciate one another. We appreciate the value of life and the value of life that was given to us when this country opened its doors to my family.
Two Up is a popular gambling game played on Anzac Day. It involves throwing two coins into the air and players bet on how the coins will fall. Two Up was played extensively by Australian soldiers during World War I, but was illegal at all other times. The game is now only offered at Crown Melbourne and Crown Perth and legalised on Anzac Day.
Thank you for all the sacrifices. They gave up all their yesterdays so that we could live today. And it's a very, very emotional time for me. I had my father in the services for 35 years.
The way that those veterans were treated is horrific beyond belief. When you're a soldier, you go where you're told. The fact that a soldier will still willingly give up their normal life, their freedom, and potentially their lives in a conflict that they don't really understand the reasons for, that for me is the greatest freedom a soldier can give.
My family migrated to Australia in the 80s. I am forever grateful for the liberty, the freedom, and the peace that this country has given my family. And it is thanks to these soldiers.
To me, Anzac Day is a day of celebration and remembrance and being thankful for the men and women who have not only given their lives to give us the freedom that we have in this country today in Australia, but to also appreciate and value the current service men and women that we have.
A country at peace with itself allows its citizens equality. The strive for equality between genders, sexualities, male, female, non-binary, and you can't get that without the sacrifice that these soldiers did back a century ago.
I guess over time I just also realized that there was too much of really, I guess, a celebration of that death. I mean, it was just utterly horrible that people, Australians, had to die such brutal ways for causes that really, I mean, just not just causes I support. And I think it's just, as I become older, I've become much more cynical to celebrate war in that. And Anzac Day should always be a solemn occasion and really just a sadness for people who did have to die.
My dad was in the First World War, and he was in the Navy, and his ship was sunk. Wow. And he was one of the survivors that was picked up. So that was very special, and yeah, the stories he told, it was quite horrific actually.
Sadly, we lost over 56,000 Australian and New Zealand soldiers in the fight to capture the Gallipoli Peninsula in 1915. And this day quickly became the day in which we remember the sacrifice of those who had died in the war. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.